Well, hi, Book 2. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today with a weekly reads, just what's been going on in life. What have I been reading? What have I finished reading? And, just in general, what's going on. So I wanted to kind of give you an update on where I'm at with stuff. So I hope everyone out there's doing well. I'm curious to know, because I haven't paid attention, what is everybody else's weather like right at the moment? We are having, right at this very moment, a very typical Midwest spring where, if you don't like the weather today, just wait till tomorrow. It'll be different. We had this last week, early in the week, it was nice. Well, it was cool. Then it warmed up a little bit. Then it got warm on Wednesday, and then Thursday it was decent again, and then Friday it got bone-chillingly cold. We had our track meets started this last week, and I'm telling you what, our track meet on Tuesday wasn't bad. It was cool, but it wasn't terrible. We've had worse in the past starting things off, but then we got to, like I said, Thursday temperatures. Well, it was cool on Thursday, and then Friday was our other meet, and temperatures dropped. It was in the 30s. We had a track meet that night, and temperatures were in the 30s. The wind was blowing, and actually it wouldn't have felt too bad if it wasn't windy, but the wind was just so cold. And then yesterday it was snowing. So I'm like, we went from being in the 70s earlier, a few days earlier, to snowing. And just took the dog outside, and there's frost on the grass, and the tulips are all kind of peeled over. They frosted over, so they're probably going to die. And I don't know. It's a typical Midwest spring. That's all I can say. I'm hoping that our track meets can warm up. We got our track season off to a really good start. We went to a bigger meet on Tuesday where there was 11 teams, and a few of the schools were bigger schools than we are, and we ended up placing, I think there was 11 teams. We placed third in the meet, and so I thought that was really good. We had some really good times. Had some girls that were disappointed, and I was showing them the stopwatch. I'm like, you have nothing to be disappointed about. Look at your times. You got beat, but look at your time. You're running faster times than you've ran all season so far. And so I had to reassure my girls things are going to be all right, and we're doing well. And like I said, at the end of the meet, we did real well in the last couple events, last 3 events or so. Especially 2 of the 3, we won the event, and so we ended up, I think we were in 4th or 5th, and we ended up leapfrogging up the standings to 3rd and finished strong. And so that was something to hang our hat on. And then Friday, it was a little bit smaller meet. There were 7 teams there, and we did real well. We did real well. The girls cleaned up, and we ended up winning the meet. And so we got our first track meet win of the year, and we had quite a few first place medals and second place and third place medals by the girls, and I was just really proud of them. We'd had a couple of girls out that couldn't, they couldn't, I had one that got hurt and totally had to rearrange. She was in 3 different relays, and I had to kind of rearrange things quite a bit. And so I put some girls in situations that I had not put them in, and had to reassure them that I want you to try this event. It's going to be all right. We're still going to, we're going to do this so that we can get points here. I think we can still get points here, and we'll get more points here. Anyway, I was doing the juggling act of a track coach, and, just reassuring my girls we're going to be good. It's going to be all right. And they went with it, and I was very, very pleased with that. They trusted what I was telling them, and then they went out and performed. And I got a really good set of girls this year. They're fast, and they work hard at practice, and they buy into what we're saying, and I think it's going to be a good season overall. And so far it's started. Like I said, this is the first 2 meets of the year, and we've done well. I've been very happy. So we did that. And then also this last week, another big thing off the to-do list, the checklist, was our state testing. People in the United States know how this goes. All the states have their big state tests that basically tell whether your school is good or bad. Unfortunately, there's a lot that hinges on those tests, and it's always kind of a stressful time. There's a lot of preparation done in the classes to try to prepare the kids and get them ready. And our state testing's all done on the computer. You know, we used to have those fill in the dot things. We don't do that anymore. It's all on the computer, and so and the testing's actually kind of neat because it's if you get something right on the test, the next question is a harder question. And then and if you continue getting it right, it gets harder and harder. And then if you get it wrong, the question will get a little easier. So it gets a feel for exactly where the student is at. And and those kind of tests are kind of cool. You get probably a better read on where the kids are at. And so anyway, that was how my week went. I hope you guys all had a good week. My reading, I will admit, my reading slowed down. I was hoping to get a couple more books finished off, and that did not happen. I did finish 2. I finished up 2 books, and I have a handful of them that are smaller books that I'm working on, and I didn't get them done just because 2 of those nights I didn't get home till 9:30 or so because of the track meets, and it's just been late nights, and that's just how track season goes. That's why when I give my reading numbers on these videos, like the monthly reading numbers, typically when I get to April and May, my numbers start to drop a little, and it's because I get into track season and I'm out late. And it used to be I had baseball on top of that once May got here, and so yeah. Anyway, I did finish. In my reading, I read, we'd had a lady in one of my girls in class. She had brought a diary from a great-great-great-great-grandpa. I can't remember how many greats it was, but he was in the Civil War during, from Texas in the Civil War in 1864, and he had a whole diary over the year, a day-by-day diary. And man, that was pretty neat to go through. It was a lot of mundane stuff, I will admit. But it gives you such a good idea of what their daily life was like. And it was the William H. West Diary, 1864. And this was I don't think it's like a mass published diary. It was just it was kind of a handheld diary, probably published by the family, I'm guessing, and there's probably a very limited number. But it was interesting because it was talking about, it talked about all the daily stuff. And one of the books I'm reading right now, I'll show you in a minute, is Baseball in the Civil War. And throughout there's little deals. We played ball all afternoon. Had drill, played ball. Had drill, played ball. I mean, that's in several places. And then it talks about just like your daily habits. Took a bath today. Felt sick. Got sick to my stomach. Laid around all day. Got sick, had diarrhea. And I mean, just continuous. And so you get to see, the everyday ailments of the soldier. And I just thought that was kind of neat. Now, I don't know that I want to read the whole war's worth, but, when you get to that little snippet, just 1 year's worth, that was kind of neat. I also finished the book that I'd been working on, and this was a Historathon 2023 selection for the first quarter, Egypt's Golden Couple, How Akhenaten and Nefertiti Became Gods on Earth, by John Darnell and Colleen Darnell. And I know a few of you have been asking me, how did this book go? Did you like this book? And I did like this book. I thought it was very interesting. I will admit, I don't know exactly what to say about it because I haven't read anything else on this, so I have nothing to compare it to. That's my problem with a lot of the first quarter stuff, is I have nothing to compare it to. And so I can't really give you is this the book on Akhenaten and Nefertiti? I have no clue because I've never read any other books on them. And so all I can tell you is what I found in here. So it's going to be a little bit of a brief synopsis. And I mean, it's just basically going through and telling how they came to power, and then what they did using religion, and how that affected the like the buildings that were put up, the structures, and how they they took down other people's structures and then put their structures up, and they made it that they were like gods on earth. And it was interesting, and I learned a lot, and it was neat because the authors take the point of view like this is probably what life was like for them and what they would have said, using just basic overall knowledge, and they kind of give you and then in the next section of the chapter it goes, this is what's found on the hieroglyphs or the building structures. They give you the actual factual evidence of what they've found. So they give you what they think probably would have been said. There's no records telling of the conversations, but this is probably what they would have said based on the evidence. This is all the evidence. And then in a third point of view, they bring it to the present, where they take it from the archaeologist's point of view and what they're finding, and how that's maybe changed some of the thought process of what's going on in Egypt at this time. So kind of a neat book. It tackles it from 3 different points of view, if that makes any sense. So I would recommend it, especially if you are not familiar with it. I found it pretty interesting. Again, totally out of my reading comfort zone, as far as, I mean, I like history, but I don't usually read ancient history. So it was interesting. So one of the things I wanted to show you, I picked up a couple of new books yesterday when we went out shopping. It was payday this last week, so we had to go fill up the fridge and the freezer so we'd have some food to eat. For some reason, I like to eat a lot. I don't know. So I had to go fill the fridge back up. But we stopped at Dollar Tree to pick up, I think we got some birthdays coming in May. There's quite a few in our family in May. So we had to go pick up some birthday cards. And so while my wife was doing that, I found some books in the book section. This first one is Prince Philip Revealed by Ingrid Seward. And I always like a biography. Now, this is a present day biography. I don't usually read biographies from the present, but I thought I'd give it a try. It was only $1.25. This is from the year 2020, so it's a fairly new book, and it is Atria Books out of New York. And if you're wondering about the size of the book, it's like 374 pages. So read the inside cover to you real fast. On June 10th, 2020, Prince Philip celebrated his 99th birthday at Windsor Castle with the Queen, his constant companion for more than 70 years. Despite his long, dutiful service to his country and to his wife, he has remained a largely unknown and much misunderstood figure. Now, in Ingrid Seward's superb new biography, the true story about his life and career can finally be revealed. Born in Corfu in 1921, he was exiled the following year after the overthrow of the Greek royal family, and after a childhood spent in Paris, Philip began to put down roots only when he joined the British Royal Navy. His distinguished wartime career was combined with a blossoming romance with the young Princess Elizabeth, and they married in 1947 in a ceremony that brought glamour and hope after the war. Just over 4 years later, their life was transformed when King George VI suddenly died and Elizabeth succeeded to the throne. Overnight, the macho prince had to play the role of dutiful consort, following 2 steps behind his wife. From colorful parties to pioneering conservation work, from religion to reorganizing the way the royal family is run, the Duke of Edinburgh has been enormously influential figure behind the scenes. When he retired from public life in August of 2017, he did so after carrying out more than 22,000 solo engagements. In Prince Philip Revealed, we get to the heart of the multifaceted character and understand why he has played such a crucial role in shaping the monarchy in the 21st century. So I thought that was interesting. I admittedly don't know much about him, so hoping to pick up some new stuff on Prince Philip. And the other one that I found that intrigued me, the color on the cover was absolutely beautiful. The picture is just superb. Look at that. Doesn't that look peaceful? That looks awesome. So this is Kings of the Yukon, One Summer Paddling Across the Far North by Adam Wyeth. And so this just looked intriguing. It basically takes Adam Wyeth. He goes on the Yukon River, and he actually does this over 2 summers. And excuse me, I read the introduction last night, but he does this over 2 summers because the winter's too long up north. He couldn't do the entire river in one stretch. So he did it in 2, but he writes it seamlessly as one trip. And he basically takes the story is going down, taking the whole river and then looking at the impact that salmon has had on the river and the people that live in the area. And it looked neat. It was kind of almost a travel log, and I thought that would be kind of neat to read. And it looked like there's breaks in the reading where it would be easy to put by the bed, up on my lampstand, or on my dresser, and I could read little bits and pieces of this here and there, and I just thought I would enjoy it. But it follows, the salmon, the lifeblood of commerce and the local culture. And anyway, looks good. Thought I'd try that out. And by the way, that book is from, I did not say, so let me look at that. It's from Little Brown and Company out of New York, and it's a 2018 book. And it just looked fascinating. So I'm going to get that one started here soon, or I'll get a little bit further into it anyway. All right, so that is what I finished. That is a couple new books into the library. And then your big question is, what am I reading now? So let me get into what I'm reading now. So just a minute ago, I was talking about baseball in blue and gray, and the national pastime during the Civil War by George B. Kirsch. I'm reading this. I'm about halfway through it or so, almost halfway, and thoroughly enjoying it. I should, if everything goes right, I should be able to finish this week. If I was to read a chapter a day, I should get it finished up. But I'm in that same boat with a couple other books, so I'm not sure which one I'll end up finishing. But loving this. It's taking the early history of baseball, talking about how the ideas of baseball spread throughout the country, and just prior to the Civil War, and then how there were a couple different versions of baseball that were being played, but it's the New York version of baseball that really takes precedence and takes a stronghold, especially once the war starts, because it's something for the boys in blue and the boys in gray, especially the boys in blue. It's something for them to do in the downtime, because there's a lot of downtime in the military, especially during this time period. And so it's just going through the process of how the rules changed. And, they had one version of baseball where you could take the baseball and throw it at the runner, kind of like, what do they call it? Boom Boom, I think, at school. This is the game, and they throw the ball at the, it's like kick, well, or is that the, okay, they got a couple different versions they play at school, but they could throw the ball at the runner and hit them and get them out. They had one of those for baseball, and so one of the big rule changes that they did was to get rid of that, because the guys that were running the bases for some reason didn't like to get hit with a baseball. I don't know, go figure. But this is like the transformation of baseball in its early stages, and just how it's going to spread and become the national pastime. Very good book so far. I'm enjoying that. I'm in chapter 3. And like I said, I'm 50 pages into 100 and, how many pages? Let's see, 129 pages. No, I lied. It is 135 pages. 135 pages. So really enjoying that. I had started The 7 Dials Mystery by Agatha Christie. Now that book's upstairs on my dresser, and I don't want to go up and wake up my wife because it's still kind of early this morning. But I'm only a chapter or two into that. I'm not very far. The basic gist is the one guy sleeps in late all the time, and all of his friends buy a whole bunch of alarm clocks, and they're putting them in the room so that they all go off and wake him up and annoy him and get him out of bed. That's the beginning of the story. I am not very far in. Nobody's been murdered or anything yet. I am guessing that's going to happen very soon, but yeah, can't tell you much more about that. Enjoying it so far, but again, I'm not but a chapter or two in. I'm also reading Ancient Africa. I am just the introduction. I think no. I got chapter 1 done as well. So I am getting ready for chapter 2, which is, I think, more the meat of the book. It's a thin volume. Don't have a lot to tell you other than in the introduction chapter there, that first chapter, he's basically just saying that most schools today, people make big emphasis on the very, very beginnings of African history and the people coming out of Africa to spread around the globe. And then the author basically says Africa gets no limelight after that. And he's wanting to bring, African history to the people. And so these chapters are going to cover different historical eras within this time frame. And, it's Ancient Africa, A Global History to 300 CE by Christopher Arent. I guess I forgot to say that. But he's going to break it up into different segments of time up to 300 CE. And can't tell you much more because I got to read a little bit more to be able to do that. The other one that I'm reading that I read quite a bit of, I'm about a third of the way through it, read it quite a bit the other morning, was this month's Marple a Month for the Marple Readathon that Peg and Martine are doing over at the History Shelf, where they're taking in chronological order or date they were published the Agatha Christie books that are the Miss Marple series. And this month is A Pocket Full of Rye. And I just started it this week because I did not own this copy. I had to buy this copy, and thoroughly enjoying it, really enjoying it. So the main guy in the house has been murdered by poison. They have figured out it was a poison. They have figured out that there were rye grains in his pocket, and they're trying to make some connections. They have interviewed everybody in the house. Everybody's worried about the tea. But the big question is, why did he have grain in his pocket? It was kind of an odd thing. And what the poison comes from, they're believing it's from the rye. But I haven't got any more information than that. I have not met Miss Marple yet. She has not come on the scene. I'm hoping she does soon, because I have enjoyed the books where Miss Marple has been a part of the story. I don't like when she only shows up in the last 2 chapters or something like that. I like when she's in the whole story. She hasn't showed up yet, and I'm a third of the way through. So we'll see. And then the other one that I am reading, I have on my audio, because I could not find a physical copy. I'd had a subscriber who had watched my review of The Time Machine. And the subscriber had asked me, have you ever read The Incredible Shrinking Man by, and I think it was, I didn't write down the author, I think it's Richard Matheson. And I was like, nope, I haven't read them because I haven't read a lot of science fiction. And they said, would you be willing to give that one a try? And so that is what I'm listening to while I'm doing the dishes right now. And I am, how far am I? A third of the way, a quarter of the way, a third of the way through it? I can't remember. It's almost 8 hours long, 7 hours, 45 minutes maybe, and I'm a couple hours into it, so about a quarter of the way through or so, and I'm really enjoying it. It's very good. Talking about a guy who's got a disease where he just keeps shrinking, and I can't remember how much it is a day, 1/7 of an inch or something every day, and he keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And right now it has flashbacks to when he first got the disease, and then it flashes to the present where he is about this big and he's got a spider chasing him down in the basement, and the furnace kicking on is a scary event. And it's pretty interesting. The guy is really hitting on when he's in the past, talking about that, just the fear of the unknown, the fear of what are we going to do, the fear of how am I going to provide for my wife, how am I going to pay the bills, how am I going to hold a job, how am I, all of those things that run through your head. And he's going through that, and now he is, this big, and he's having troubles finding food. He's almost ready to starve to death. What's going to happen first, starve to death or shrink to nothing? And I mean, it's playing on man's fears, playing on just all kinds of emotional stuff in the book, and it's pretty interesting. I'm enjoying the read. So anyway, BookTube, I'm curious to know, what are you all reading? Got anything good going on? Any recommendations for me? Because I try to pick up some of those recommendations when I can and add them into the big list of things I'm already reading. So let me know in the comments section what you're reading. Let me know if you've read these books, what you think of them. And thank you to all the new subscribers. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope the weather warms up a little bit and it feels a little bit more like a warm spring versus a cold spring. So until next time, BookTube, happy reading.